200. New track record holder Pascal Picot is on the pole, and the rookie from Australia on the front row is Troy Corser. They start 4 across. Eddie Lawson, the defending champion, and Doug Poland, two-time runner-up in row 1. Back to row number 2, Donald Jacks. 4th in 1990, Fred Merkel, 3 straight Superbike championships from 84 to 86. Mike Smith, who was 3rd here 2 years ago, and Thomas Stevens, the 91 Superbike national titleist. Row number 3, Dale Quarterly from Massachusetts with 3 top 10s here, and Akira Yaganawa making his 2nd start in this race. Jamie James, the 89 Superbike champ, and Colin Edwards making his 2nd start. Row 4, Tom Kipp, a former Daytona winner. Bernhard Schick from Germany makes his debut. Jacques Guenet, the Canadian, and Edwin Weibel, the Swiss rider, a freshman at Daytona. Row 5, Kevin McGee from Australia. Lindley Clark, the Canadian. Jay Springsteen with 3 top 10s and 5 Daytona starts, and Don Canay from California. In row number 6, Andrew Stroud from New Zealand. Lee Schertz, first start here since '89. Carl Truckchess, 12th in his Daytona debut last year, and Jesus Rodriguez making his 3rd start at Daytona. That is the first 6 rows. Former winner John Ashmead anchors row number 7 with Worley, Graham, and Moe. In row number 8, you'll see Mark Smith, Pablo Real, John Long in his 17th Daytona 200, and Tommy Lynch. Alan Cathcart is back inside of row number 9 with Pegram, Bennett, and Simeone. In row number 10, there's Glenn Barrett, Jeffrey Stern, Michael Kraft, and Dr. David Kiefer. How well the riders know him. Don Monroe with Jason Pridmore, Klingerman, and Pullen in row 11. Hazen, Turner, Berner, and Roberts row 12. Zierle, White, Smith, and Harrison in 13. Blasquez, Rimrot, Rabb, and Ray in row 14. And as you look back through the rest of the field, we look back at row 16. That's where the heavy hitters are. Look at Scott Russell, Sadowski, and Crevier. Duhamel back at 17 and on back through the field. We're closing in on the start of the Daytona 200 by Iran. And there's a look at the Harley-Davidson. Miguel Duhamel, whose dad raced here at Daytona. The 200 did well. And you see up on the starter stand, the man holding the flag is U.S. Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell from Colorado, first American Indian to serve in the U.S. Senate in more than 60 years. He is an avid motorcyclist, now riding his 11th motorcycle, and he flags off the field. Through turn number 1, now the second wave of riders begins. They start in 2 waves of 40 riders each, 80 strong. The field is underway. And Doug Poland of Denton, Texas, leads the charge to the International Horseshoe. One of the tightest and slowest of the 5 turns in this infield road course. Used by, big trouble. 3 riders down from that second grouping at the Horseshoe. Among them, Lee Schertz of San Diego on the left, arm in the air to signal oncoming rider. And taking the lead is Eddie Lawson.
As Poland predicted, Mike, Eddie Lawson is going to definitely play a major role in getting him to the winner's circle. Now we're going to take a look and see what the Ducatis do. They're the ones with the top speed. They're the ones who won the heat races. And Poland and Lawson both relying on them, relying on the draft, which is all important here at Daytona.
You're riding with Pascal Picot through the 31-degree banking. Up, looking to the outside. No move, slicing down to the bottom as they hit the back straightaway. 175 miles per hour, and then they slow for this bus stop chicane.
Mike, originally the chicane was put in there so the speeds wouldn't be so great coming into the banking over here, and it now has become the critical turn at Daytona. If you can't get off the chicane and onto that banking, you will lose this race if it comes down to a last lap battle.
Look at the lead Lawson has built up as they hit the east banking. Over the tunnel, turn 4 of the stock car course, and down the short chute to complete lap number 1. Accident scene cleared at the International Horseshoe. Lawson and diving down to the inside, Troy Corser to lead the first lap.
Corser has been brilliant here throughout the week on the Fast by Faraci Ducati. He's been unstoppable. As a freshman at Daytona, he looks like a veteran.
New South Wales, Australia. Look how close they come to that guardrail at turn 1. Dave Sadowski's leathers have guardrail embedded in them from qualifying earlier this week. There's Lawson in second.
Again, Lawson and Poland figuring the Ducatis will be their ticket in the draft to the winner's circle. And if any of the Ducatis suffer any of the sort of problems that they've had in the past, then of course they won't be finishing. But the wins in the twin 50s, Scott Russell moving up through the pack, Mike, a brilliant charge. It looks like he's just, everybody else has stopped out there compared to Russell.
Qualifying 62nd on his Kawasaki, taking what amounts to a provisional start. In stock car parlance, here he moves past Glenn Barrett. Leans the bike over there in the West Horseshoe. Brings it back towards start finish, and then this left-hand turn number 5 that'll sweep Russell up out of the banking. Those flame feathers atop his helmet and up on the banking at the west end of the speedway. Carries high to the wall. That's the line, and then will sweep down.
Mike Russell's at about a 14-second disadvantage right now in this race, but it is 200 miles long. Russell's going to bide his time, move as fast as he can. It's possible that he may have chosen a stickier tire and be going for a strategy with an earlier pit stop.
He's up to 31st right now, slicing to the inside of Alan Cathcart and moving up on number 25, Dave Sadowski. Back up front and going for the front. Once again, Eddie Lawson.
Eddie Lawson proving that Yamaha has got some miles per hour, drafting and passing right by Troy Corser. His ticket to the winner's circle, if he can get there again.
Lawson trying to win this for the second year in a row, not contesting the championship in this series. In third, Doug Poland with the number 1 plate of the national champion.
Stay with us. Encore coverage of the Daytona 200 by Arai continues right after this.
Mike, I spoke to Eddie Lawson 7 weeks ago. He wasn't really sure whether he was coming to Daytona or not. Said he didn't really care if he came, but he is here and he is up front. And when Eddie Lawson is a competitor, he is going to go for it. He's 4-time world champion. He's 2-time U.S. Superbike champion. He won two 250cc championships here in the United States. He can ride any kind of bike on any kind of surface, and he is out there smoking the boys on the Ducatis.
And by about a wheel width, Lawson led the 14th or 15th lap of this race. These two riders have 7 seconds on the rest of the field, with Poland in third, Picott in 4th. And the word from back in 6th place is Scott Russell is running almost a second a lap faster than the leaders. He is running them down.
Troy Corser is in a perfect position to add to his education on racing motorcycles. Eddie Lawson is the master. Cool hand Eddie. Eddie just has so much strategy and so much confidence in his own riding. He can go out there. He doesn't have to get pumped up anymore. He's been racing motorcycles since he was 6 or 7 years old, now 34 years of age. This man has had a full life and full career. He can go out here and do it with the best of them, with no practice. This Daytona race is the first race he's raced since last year. Up onto the bank. These are the most critical turns on this racetrack. You can see Eddie is the guy at Daytona. He is the one that can get that bike spinning the tire, to get that slingshot drive up onto the banking. He can pull out, even with the Ducatis, you can see that the terrific horsepower. Troy Corser didn't even have to draft Eddie Lawson on the back banking before coming into the chicane. He could motor past him.
Corser on the Ducati, number 19. Lawson, Yamaha-mounted number 7. Let's go back to the battle for third, where Doug Poland, 8 seconds behind the lead duo. He's trying to hold Pascal Picott.
Yes, that's a pit stop. We see one of the back runners started back in 65th place. Sadowski in for a pit stop on his Ducati, former Daytona winner.
1990 champion. The last 5 winners of this race are in the field. John Ashmead in 89, right up to the defending champion, Eddie Lawson.
You know, Mike, you think that a 200-mile race would really be an endurance race, but as you can see, with the lap times and with the condition of the tires that these guys have, that are about as hard as a bowling ball, that this is definitely a sprint race to end all sprint races. Here, Troy Corser working his way through traffic.
Scott Russell has come to pit lane, and here he is. From the onboard camera.
This is part of the strategy we discussed. Was Scott Russell going to go out there on stickier tires than the rest of the riders? I don't know. It wasn't in a lap time advantage. He's still 17 seconds back from the leaders just before he made that pit stop.
16 seconds. Fuel and tire for Scott Russell. That will move him back in the field, likely out of the top 10. 8 lead changes among 3 riders in the first 16 laps of this race.
There's Eddie Lawson going by Chuck Graves, Valvoline Suzuki, coming up onto the banking.
And there's our leader, Troy Corser. What an impressive showing in these early laps. He certainly has the machine.
I'd say Raldo Faraci is going to be very happy to have Troy Corser on his American Superbike team here. The freshman, the Daytona freshman, is showing his colors. He's learned a lot down in Australia. He's out here. He's making an incredible show at Daytona for his first ride.
Ducati, one of only 2 non-Japanese manufacturers in this race. The other, Harley-Davidson. Ducati made in Italy. Tied to the Cagiva racing operation in Grand Prix racing, and there's even a linkage to Ferrari in some of the research and development for Cagiva. So the Italian racing red adorns that machine for good reason.
Absolutely.
And they make a great line of street bikes as well.
Is this cat and mouse? Where's Eddie Lawson? There he is.
Traffic appears to have split the leaders just a bit. Dave Sadowski, the 1990 winner, is off the track behind the hay bales at the East Horseshoe. And in the pits, Jamie James, who was riding 5th on the Vance and Hines Yamaha with gas and a new rear tire. You saw Terry Vance with an exclamation right there, just barely in camera, apparently not pleased with that early pit stop.
It was hard to tell whether that was a planned pit stop or not, Mike, but he definitely got in and out in short order, whether it was planned or not. Troy Corser up lapping Miguel Duhamel on the Harley-Davidson. The Harley-Davidson definitely down on power all week. He's not out there scratching as far as horsepower goes. He doesn't have the top speed, but he's been riding the wheels off the bike.
Well, and it's a teething year for the Harley-Davidson. First appearance here at Daytona. And a welcome sight. Might have brought a number of those fans from over on the beach side of Daytona over here to see the Harley in its debut.
Of course, you're definitely making a break from the rest of the field into the chicane, up onto the front banking. He's pulled a few second lead on Eddie Lawson. The Australian showing his colors out here, showing the power of that Faraci Ducati is amazing. The twin-cylinder machine.
The wildest sight I've seen all of Bike Week were the 5 Harleys rolling down Beach Street, powered by small block V8 Chevrolets, the Boss Hoss Harley. Guy flipped the throttle on one of those at a traffic light, and the rear end moved over about 4 inches. How about 350 cubic inch motorcycle racing? I don't think so. It was wild.
Troy Corser coming into the infield. Brilliant ride by the Australian Superbike champion.
3-second lead over Eddie Lawson. At Daytona, the Daytona 200 is 18 laps in the books. Troy Corser leads on Ducati from Eddie Lawson, Pascal Picot, Gus Poland, and Fred Merkel in 5th. So out in front by himself is Troy Corser. He now owns a 4.8-second lead on Eddie Lawson. Pascal Picot, the pole sitter, is in the pit lane at lap 21, making his first stop of the day. Line him against the Ducati board. There's the fuel, gravity fed. Bike up on the rear stand, and he's pointing at the left rear.
Come on, Jamie. Little slow pit stop. This is not doing well for Picot. He's off in a way in 22 seconds. 6 or 8 seconds. Too long for the Daytona 200.
For the pole sitter, first stop of the day. Comes at lap 21 for Pascal Picot.
Ralph mentioned putting warm tires on these bikes before. Did that make sense to everybody?
I think so. I think it was well. I think Steve explained it well.
Handling a 200-degree tire, putting it on the bike, may have been the reason that pit stop did not go so fast.
Could have been part of it.
Yeah.
About 15 teams have this trick rear tire change combination that allows them to change in about 10 seconds. The other teams have to actually remove the axle, put it in, and rebolt it, re-nut it. And it takes about 15 seconds optimum.
You see Troy Corser overtaking Colin Edwards in the banking. We're going to realize that Colin Edwards has already made a pit stop, so this is not a lap rider. This is not a competition situation here at the Daytona 200. That's Troy Corser making his way. He's on the Ducati. They've got a little better fuel mileage. They have a fabulous tire.
And Eddie Lawson is on pit road. The second place rider is coming to the pit for his first stop, and this comes at lap number 22. Ralph?
Mike, some interesting things going on here as Lawson gets his pit. You'll notice that it is a mostly Japanese factory crew that is servicing Lawson's bike. They're having some problems with the tire now. They got a problem with the front tire of Eddie Lawson's bike. It has got a big chunk in it, and they're going to have to come out now, jack up the bike, and change the front. Steve?
I'm standing here also, and this is a disaster for this team. Earlier, we showed you the pit stop in the Smoke and Joseph's. They had air jacks, much like an Indy car, and it made that thing responsible for about a 6 or 7 second stop. But this already Lawson sitting there with the engine off, they'll bump start the bike, put him back out there. But he lost, well, about a calendar in this kind of competition.
It's an eternity, Steve. 45-second stop for Lawson.
Yep, about
on a
30
stop
seconds
like
too
that,
long.
on a stop like that, you plan to change the rear tire, but you darn well better be prepared to change the front one. And the Japanese Yamaha team was not. Clearly, they had nothing ready. Finally dragged the tire over the wall. Tire warmer still attached to it. The jack wasn't even in the pit lane. It wasn't a consideration, but it became a necessity.
When the tire changer put that tire up next to the pit wall, I saw a chunk out of it. It looked about the size of $2 half. And on the high banks here at Daytona at 180 miles an hour, this would definitely set up a bit of a vibration. I think it would be of some concern to a lesser rider.
Here is your leader coming to pit lane at lap 22, Troy Corser. From New South Wales, Australia. Ran dirt track before making the transition to road racing. He's the Australian Superbike champion.
The fast by Faraci pit stop will really make a big difference in the outcome of this race.
Steve?
All right, we are here. Corser is in, obviously fast by Faraci, hoping for a faster pit stop. The rear wheel goes on much smoother, and he is gone. That's what they wanted with all of their riders.
13.4 seconds. Good stop.
With all of the leaders having completed their first stops, we'll head to the pits ourselves and then come right back for more encore coverage of the Daytona 200 by a ride. Don't go away. Sports Cavalcade encore coverage of the Daytona 200 by a ride continues with this incident just moments ago on the front straight here at Daytona. This is Bernhard Schick of Mossbach, Germany, exiting his Ducati at very close to full speed. Luckily, after an ambulance ride and test, the German rider suffered no broken bones but would require some skin grafting. This race, however, has been red flagged. The running order at the time of the incident was Troy Corser, Scott Russell, Jamie James, Doug Poland, and Eddie Lawson. We had a chance to talk to some of the front runners. Well, here is Troy Corser, and Troy, no one was riding a better race out there, a smoother race than you were.
Oh, I'm not too sure about that. I was just trying to be consistent. I've got a fairly good start, and I sort of got there with Eddie and that, and I sort of just stayed there, and I got a bit of a break, and then I just concentrated on just being smooth and consistent. I had a few little mistakes along the way, but I'm trying to calm myself down a bit.
Okay, Ralph?
We're down here with Scott Russell, who just pulled in. His sister's going to get him something to drink. Scotty, tell me about this motorcycle, boy. You've been running hard to catch up with these guys. How is it handling?
Oh, it's doing real good, Ralph. You know, I'm trying to get in a rhythm and not do too many crazy things, and just keep it together and see if I can run them down.
Now, you stopped to talk to the officials over by where the accident took place. What were you pointing out to them?
I wasn't sure if Corser kept going straight, so I wanted to, you know, keep going in case he kept out, because I couldn't see him, and I just saw guys diving for the pits. I didn't know if the pace car was going to come out for sure or not.
Well, this was what you really needed, was this break to really set yourself down now. How does the mental game change for you?
Well, I'm just going to keep on charging as hard as I have been, and, you know, it looks like I can go faster than anybody out here, so, you know, now we get to put new front, new rear on, and because I unscheduled stop, the first stop was unscheduled. I thought I chunked the tire, so I pulled in early and just to be safe, and unfortunately it threw us off our schedule, but we're back in it. You know, I'm real happy, and hopefully everything stays together and we can win this thing.
Chief is ready to go, Mike.
Thanks, Ralph. We are under the red flag. because of a crash through the tri-oval area. Bernard Schick of Mosbach, Germany, DNL Team Germany. Speculation is that he cut down a front tire on his Ducati, lost control of the bike. The bike and he went tumbling end over end some 900 feet. Debris through the tri-oval area is what occasioned the red flag, also so the course workers and ambulance could go to his aid. So the race has been stopped at 32 laps complete. Ralph?
Is down here with us as well. Now, Eddie, when that tire came in the front had the big chunk taken out of it, obviously most of us weekend warriors out there would have pulled off a long time ago. How did that affect the handling of your bike?
It wasn't too bad. It was some chatter, some vibration, but yeah, you just wonder how long it'll go. But, you know, there's no way we could come in and stop, so I just took the chance.
Now with the race under the red flag situation, everything changes. How does your strategy change?
Well, it's going to be tough now. It's a sprint race to the end, you know. Maybe we'll just do a splash and go, and, you know, we don't know on the tire yet. So it's all up in the air at the moment. We'll see what the other guys do.
For most of us, it would be real difficult to come back after a year off on one of these things, get on and go as well as you are. You look up to speed, are you?
We'll find out.
Up front, Poland. He was in a hurry. He is.
Poland, Russell, Quarterly, Jamie James, Scott, there's Eddie Lawson, and also Fred Merkel.
Great start for Dale Quarterly.
Looks like we have a situation here in this 27 laps where everybody's going to have to stop for gas, whether they change tires or not, whether they've gone to a softer tire, if they could get it, or if they were willing to take the risks out here on the high banks of Daytona with a softer tire is unlikely, but not for 27 laps unless they're going to change.
Poland is the leader. Scott Russell in second. Dale Quarterly got a great restart. On number 32, he rides in third.
Quarterly doing beautiful. Third. A beautiful start for Dale Quarterly on the restart of this race. He could stay in touch with the leaders. Dale Quarterly's win at Mid-Ohio could be repeated here at Daytona. He'd be the dark horse with all these factory machines, but he's got a Muzzy Kawasaki. He can fly.
Lead change. Scott Russell from 62nd now leads the Daytona 200. Poland in second. Quarterly to the inside of number 2, Jamie James. Holding off James for third. Quarterly on that green number 32 machine. Wants to go four-wheel racing. Break into the Busch North Stock Car circuit this year. Jamie James right with him on number 2, the Yamaha. And Quarterly surrenders third place to the factory bike.
Here we see the draft, the Daytona draft in full bloom. 4 abreast coming down the front straightaway. Everybody jockeying to get into that draft position.
And Quarterly drafts past James, moves himself up to fourth on that green machine on the outside. Heavy braking at turn 1. James on the high side. Quarterly goes back up to fourth, right behind number 19, Troy Corser. You're riding with Pascal Picotte.
Pascal Picotte out of turn number 1 up through the little S is into the International Horseshoe. Down the infield straightaway. This is a 4th gear straightaway into a very fast, about 125-mile-an-hour left-hand turn where you really only come off the gas for 0.2 of a second and right back on again into the West Horseshoe, a hard decreasing radius right-hander, and then onto the bank.
Jamie James takes a spot away from Quarterly, and right behind Quarterly comes number 7, Eddie Lawson. Ralph?
Mike, Dale Quarterly is the fastest of the privateers, and one of the reasons why is he is basically running a Muzzy factory bike. He rents that bike from Ron Muzzy's operation and gets it put together and goes racing. He picked up his first ever AMA National Superbike win last year in a very emotional win at Mid-Ohio. Do not count Dale Quarterly out of this mix. He is one of the fastest with a lot of experience behind him.
He is overtaken, though, by Eddie Lawson as they work down the back straightaway.
Another rider that this red flag has definitely benefited, Steve Crevier, back in 66th place, now up into the top 10 and on the same lap as the leaders.
Quarterly coming to the chicane, getting the spot back from Eddie Lawson. Out in front, Doug Poland trailing Scott Russell. Back to the tri-oval, 32 laps.
Quarterly's doing a beautiful job of hanging on to the factory Yamaha there.
And up toward the front, there's Russell going out of your frame. Second, third, fourth. and Quarterly. Once again with Lawson. You don't have any time to bide your time here, do you?
No, this is a sprint race. Everybody knows it. If they can get 2 seconds on the competition, that will help them when they go in for that splash and maybe a tire change. It would make an enormous difference on the last lap of this race.
Front 4 trying to break away. Here are 3rd and 4th. Doug Poland, the Smokin' Joe's number 1, and Jamie James, Vance and Hines Yamaha, number 2. From the back of Scott Russell's lead machine.
Of course, Mike, the other advantage of the red flag was that the riders could come in and fix, besides changing their tires, fix any problems that they were having out there in the banking, any handling problems, if they had a shock that had gone bad, or anything like that. This puts them in a much better position.
Do not tilt your set. But they're in the 31-degree west banking of Daytona. In the afternoon shade from the 80-degree sunlight, and now into the back straightaway. 3rd place battle. Jamie James comes up alongside of Poland. Chooses not to try and outbrake him at the bus stop chicane.
James a master of outbraking, especially into the chicane here. We've seen him in other events. He is the master. He'll bring it in there, slide the tail, whatever he has to do to get in front. He thought better of it. He's still got 25 laps to go. No point in making your move too early.
Into the sun of the east banking. Back around to start finish to complete lap 33. Scott Russell in front.
One of the things that Doug Poland told me earlier this week was that the Yamahas were fast out there, and he was also depending on them, failing the Ducatis, to be able to bring him in on the draft here at Daytona, where the draft is so deadly important, that we can see.
Like a rubber band that stretches, it's all snapped back together here. 5th place Eddie Lawson. Dale Quarterly right behind him in green.
Lawson sliding the back end around.
And the battle for the lead. Right on the tailpipe of Scott Russell is that number 19, the early leader, Troy Corser. Steve?
Let's remember to last year right here on TNN up in Loudon, New Hampshire. Scott Russell was a surprise entry. He showed up. He said, I just want to have some fun, see if I can beat all my pals, especially Doug Poland. He not only beat him, he whipped them like dogs in the rain. Here in Daytona, as you said earlier, he has really nothing to lose. He's not interested in points. He's going over to Europe. If anybody has the right mental viewpoint right now and mental strength to win this race, I think it's Russell, because he doesn't much care.
Russell, I think you'd have to put Eddie Lawson in that same category. He's got no points to earn, nothing to prove. He's out here to have a good time and see how hard he can run.
That's right. He's interested in his Indy Lights cars now. He's officially retired from motorcycle racing. He came back as a courtesy and certainly a chance to sponsor his Indy Lights effort this coming year.
The lead battle is right here. Just behind them, here's your front 4 in the chicane, and entering them is this 5th place race. Pascal Picot now has Eddie Lawson trying to take over that 5th spot.
Pascal Picot is a lapper. That's right. Pascal Picot's a lap down. Lawson was using him for a draft to get up to the lead group. It looked like Lawson has definitely lost a little touch with them. And this is not going to bode well for him. If he can't stay in touch with them, and he hasn't got the speed, and it doesn't look like he does, if he's got to battle it out with Pascal to get through the infield, a lapper, he's going to be in trouble.
Well, Eddie Lawson spent a lot of time battling with Dale Quarterly, the other riders in that pack, and lost a little bit of touch with the leaders. But Lawson in 5th. Here's your lead pack once again. Battle of reigning or former world champions.
Russell, there's Corser on the inside, the International Horseshoe. But he got it in a little too hot, got it sideways. Russell has a chance to get out from underneath him, but he didn't do it.
Russell, a quick look back over his shoulder for 3rd place for Jamie James. There's James number 2. Cat and mouse here?
Well, it is a little bit of cat and mouse, Mike. It's certainly, there's a Fred Merkel out of the race on his Muzzy Kawasaki. He has that problem out there. It's not smoking, but it's broken. Fred Merkel, 2-time World Superbike champion, back in the United States, to run the Muzzy Superbikes.
Let's check with Ralph.
Keith, I'm wondering, do you think maybe Eddie Lawson is just getting physically tired? Let's face it, he hasn't done this for a year.
I don't know. You know, it's hard to bet against Eddie Lawson, no matter what he says. It's possible, but Eddie Lawson is he's been in shape for years. He's a motorcycle racer supreme. He rides his dirt bike all the time. He lives out on the lake in Lake Havasu. I'd be very surprised if he's actually getting tired here. It's a possibility, though, but I doubt it.
Yeah, knowing Eddie Lawson, I think if he were out of shape, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know, and you need to be in shape to go run Indy Lights racing. So wouldn't think that Lawson has lost a bit. Fred Merkel was running in 7th when he exited the race with a broken machine.
Looks like he's trying to get the machine started. It's going to be hard to bump that superbike. Oh, okay.
Back up front. What a battle for the lead.
Russell letting Courser do the honors through the infield. Jamie James up there. James looking for his moment of glory through the infield here at Daytona. You can see Scott Russell. He is on the gas, sliding the back end of that Muzzy Kawasaki, coming out of every single turn. Now that creates a heat problem with the tires, but sure makes it feel good when you come off the turn.
As mentioned, Fred Merkel has refired his machine. He's back in the race. 4 different makes among the front 4 riders. Ducati, Kawasaki, Yamaha, and Honda in the front 4 spots. How much parity can you ask for?
It's amazing. It's the first time we've had this kind of competition here at Daytona for many years. In the past, when it was Formula 1 machines, usually the Yamahas or Suzukis would be right up there, but the superbikes have really brought equality to road racing. It certainly has perked up the image of the Daytona 200 and makes the competition here just as exciting as you see it right now. We're on Scott Russell's bike going 175 miles an hour, coming out of the West Banking, down the back chute, 3,800 feet of fast straightaway where you can pick up a draft and almost suck your helmet off.
As mentioned, Suzuki also has a rider on the lead lap, and the 6th manufacturer involved, Harley-Davidson, exited the race early with their brand new Superbike entry. First time in 23 years a factory Harley had run at Daytona in this race.
I mentioned the twin-cylinder Ducatis are allowed to be 1,000 cc's. These machines, particularly that Geraldo Ferracci has built, are 955 machines, and the Kawasaki 750.
Yeah, they've got a 916 cc for that Ducati. It's last year's bike, this year's engine. It's going to be fun. Here's your top 5. 4 makes in the first 5. Kawasaki, Ducati, Yamaha, and Honda.
American Sports Cavalcade encore coverage of the Daytona 200 by a ride from Daytona International Speedway continues with the final laps.
Well, here we're looking at the final 4 laps, and if the field remains spread out, Mike, there isn't going to be very much of a last lap strategy, but as we have seen in other events here at Daytona over the Speed Week, the last lap strategy, if the bikes are close, nobody wants the lead going into the chicane. Everybody wants the competition to come out of that chicane, up onto the high banks, and give them the tow, give them the draft down across the start-finish line. And at 180 miles an hour, you only get one chance at that. If you don't pull out, use the slingshot, use the force that you get from sucking up into the draft and being slingshotted by, you're not going to make it to that start-finish line first. And that is going to be the strategy if there are any of these 2 lead bikes close enough to exercise the draft in the final lap.
And you see the power of Troy Corser's Ducati pulling him away from Eddie Lawson's Yamaha. For 2nd and 3rd place. There's your leader, Scott Russell. Let's add to that list of rookie winners. The 7th rookie to win this was Miguel Duhamel, who won in 1991 as a rookie. So Corser would look to be the 8th. From 2nd to 3rd is only a 2.5 seconds from Corser to Eddie Lawson. Here's Corser, mark number 19. There's Lawson.
Yes, Scott Russell looks like he doesn't have to do anything but ride around right now. Holding the lap times that he's holding, they're not closing at any kind of appreciable rate on Scott Russell. Scott Russell has run an incredibly smart race. He hasn't had any problems with traffic like he did last year. Here he is, interval tonight. Okay, there it is. He's got the whole short chute from the west horseshoe to the turn number 5 onto the west banking in tow. He's got it. Eddie Lawson's looking at 3rd place finish right now, although he probably will try to better it. And Scott Russell looks to have this race in the bag. Unless he makes an error, I'd say he's got it.
How many potential Daytona winners, though, have said that with 3 or less laps to go? Scott Russell is the race leader. Steve Evans is with the owner of that motorcycle. Steve?
I am indeed, Rob Muzzy, and your job, essentially, Rob, is done. There's nothing else you and your crew can do to help Scott.
No, right now it's completely in the hands of Scott.
What kind of strategy, what do you think is going through his mind?
Well, now what's going through his mind is, will he make it to the next 3 laps and finish?
Where would you like to see him on the last lap, or the last half of the last lap? Where would you like to see him position on that last lap?
I'm sorry, the radio was going.
Where would you like to see him position on that last lap?
Right where he is.
In the lead.
8 seconds in the lead.
Go for the throat, says Muzzy.
He comes across with 2 laps to go, past a waving caution there at turn 1.
Scott Russell would not be interested in having a yellow flag and a pace car come out right now, not with this kind of a lead in the Daytona 200.
Well, he's going to be interested in this. His lead has been chopped down to 5.5 seconds. Here is Corser closing it down. But the question is lap traffic. And right here, the traffic that a minute ago balked Russell now will have to be dealt with by Corser and by number 7, Eddie Lawson.
Well, if you ask me, as far as the odds go, here we've got just over 2 laps to go.
And there's a lapper holding up Russell.
Scott Russell is running into the lappers. It was his problem last year in the chicane. We ran it into the dirt on the last lap, out of the right-hander in the chicane, because there was another rider in there who was running out of gas. And that was the fateful moment for him. Eddie Lawson stayed under the paint, got on the gas, went up around the wall, and beat him across the line by just tenths of a second. For Russell right now, unimpaired. He's not drafting anybody, not much in the way of traffic right now. He's going to run into traffic.
And he's got no hindrance and no help as he comes down the back straightaway. Russell goes into the bus stop, looking now for the second place machine, Troy Corser, in that pack.
Not yet.
And Eddie Lawson.
There he is. Oh, yeah. Pascal Picot.
A lap down. And here's Russell. The white flag lap coming up. Leader coming down to the stripe. Takes the white flag. 1 to go for Scott Russell, seeking to win his second Daytona 200 in 3 years.
This is a major turnaround from the strategy that we saw developing throughout the week. See Scott Russell out there on his white flag lap, still sliding his Muzzy Kawasaki around, just as if it was the most natural thing to do. But it's going to be very hard for anybody to catch him.
Closing in, 4.9 seconds at the stripe.
With 1 lap to go, 4.9 seconds, Scott Russell could almost snooze across the line.
Through the left-hand kink, lapper to the inside.
Dr. David Kiefer there on bike number 91, another Faraci Ducati.
There's Russell.
Russell in traffic.
Michael Kraft just ahead. Kraft looking for the leader. Russell cleanly by. And up to the west banking. Won it in 92, finished second last year on his final tour.
This is the Muzzy Kawasaki. Muzzy Kawasaki's have had an enormous amount of luck here in the United States. Not luck, but good preparation. Doug Chandler winning the Superbike Championship, then followed by Scott Russell. And just a World Superbike title last year with Scott Russell. Fantastic results for the Muzzy Kawasaki's. There's Rob Muzzy himself. He's the man who puts them together. His mustache hasn't grown over the last few years, but his reputation certainly has with the World Championships and the U.S. Superbike Championships under his belt.
And here comes his lead rider, Scott Russell, 5th in 91, a winner in 92, a runner-up last year, and Scott Russell wins the Daytona 200 by a ride for Rob Muzzy and gives Kawasaki its second victory in this event by 3 seconds over Troy Corser. And there's the defending champion, Eddie Lawson, finishing 3rd. Today's top 10, as we await Russell in victory lane, he's the winner on Kawasaki. And look again, 4 different makes in the top 4 positions. Troy Corser on the Ducati, Eddie Lawson's Yamaha, Doug Poland's Honda, Jamie James, Steve Crevier started deep in the field, Mike Smith, Thomas Stevens, Kevin McGee, and Dale Quarterly, the top 10.
That wasn't world-class, pal. That was intergalactic.
Thank you. Yeah, it went real good. You know, we had it was tough getting through the pack early on, but I did it, and we ran them in down, and we were in second. So you know, when they stopped the race, I knew I had what it took to do it. And that last little bit with Courser, you know, I let him follow me around, and he was running good, but I was quicker in some places. Man, it's a chicane, so he wouldn't have been able to beat me if we'd have been close. But, you know, he rode a great race first time here, and he did a great job.
And Muzzy and the guys did a great job.
Oh, man, the crew, Kawasaki, can't say enough for them. Dunlop tires worked great today, and I just want to thank all those guys and all my sponsors, Shoei Helmets, just everybody who had a hand in it. Really appreciated it for helping me win my second one.
All right, let's take a look at the back of the helmet. I want you to tell me about this helmet. What is this?
I don't know. That's kind of what I look like when I'm riding out there.
Well, you're not a chicken, we know that. It must be an eagle.
Yeah, it's something crazy, just like me.
Now you get to go to Europe and tell your friends over there, hey, did you read the papers? Huh?
Yeah, they're reading them. These guys are here printing now. They're ready. So it's a good kickoff to the year for us, and we're real happy about it. And hey, what can you say? I'm just real happy to be here again.
We're happy for you.
I say hi to my mom, my grandmother watching.
Absolutely. Hi, Mom. Hi, Grandma. Mike?